Hey everyone, Mike Miller with the Herald Times, joined by Jeremy Price, coming to you from, not that you would know, just realized we were just right in front of a wall, Memorial Stadium, the Champaign edition. After Indiana's 24-14 win over Illinois, snaps a four-game losing streak for the Hoosiers, who did what they had to do. Came here knowing exactly what the stakes were, have to win out over these final three games to secure bowl eligibility. Step number one complete. On to next week, they host Rutgers, and then obviously close the year at Purdue. Looked a little shaky here for the first 15 minutes, but gradually settled in. Overall, outside of a few defensive hiccups, it was a pretty fine defensive performance against a very young Illinois offensive line, really a young Illinois team. But by and large, this was a game Indiana, especially late, settled in and did all the things they had to do, did all the things they should have done against an opponent of this caliber.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those, if you were looking for the light bulb to go on in Indiana to put together this really impressive, hey, we're going to make a run performance, nah, this wasn't the one for you. But basically, the defense did the job today, gave up one big play to start the third quarter, and then gave up one scoring drive in the fourth quarter. That made things interesting at 17-14. But other than that, you felt like the defense was largely in control of this game. It was just a question of could the offense produce enough to feel comfortable, and once Illinois got within three, the offense came up with the requisite touchdown drive to put things away here, and Indiana just kind of took care of business, so to speak. Nothing wow, nothing flashy, really, when you get down to it.
It's kind of this team, really. There's really not a whole wow. I mean, the real potential for wow is on that defensive end and defensive side, and I guess you could say that they closed with a bang. I think
Yeah.
three straight takeaways. Got to do push-ups now. Three straight takeaways to close the game.
It's okay. Chris Covington did the same thing post game.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he said that we had three turnovers. I mean takeaways. So it's still an
I've
adjustment.
been around this program way too long. No, it was great. I mean, they had a fumble recovery by T. Gray Scales, interception by Richard Fenn, and another interception by T. Gray Scales to close it out in between a 5-yard touchdown catch by Simi Cobbs. Really, I thought it was another fine performance from Richard Lego. I thought it was a nice job stepping in last week, his first start since the Penn State game last week. This was his second straight start, obviously, and
Right.
even when the offense, even as the offense struggled in the first quarter, I'm not sure it was necessarily him.
Right.
I think that by and large he was okay, even when Indiana's offense was kind of flatlining. It was just kind of everything else around him. The line didn't start very well. It took a while to really get the running game going. But from start to finish, I thought this was pretty much another strong performance from Richard Lego, kind of illustrating why right now I think he's kind of their best option, opening up this passing game in ways we haven't really seen in about a
Yeah,
month.
definitely. I mean, Indiana put together some yards. That was part of the frustration early on, was that Indiana would put together some yards, but there was a offensive pass interference, a holding, a sack, just a negative run play, whatever it was. It just seemed like they kept shooting themselves in the foot, which has been a chronic problem for this team. But the one thing with Richard Lego at quarterback is you at least see the potential for this team to get out of those deep holes. When you've got 1st and 25, you think, well, this is doable, because he's able to push the ball down the field to take advantage of the matchups. And obviously this Illinois defense is not a great defense. And to some degree, that was some of the disappointment, was that Indiana wasn't able to take more advantage. And, in the running game, Illinois typically gives up over 200 yards of rushing. Indiana only got 138 today. There were at least some flashes, though, some big runs. Cole Guest had some nice runs. Morgan Ellison had a couple of nice runs. And then the other thing, and the thing I wrote about in my column, was that Indiana converted fourth downs when it had the opportunity to do so. 3 of 4 on fourth down today, a fourth down conversion on all 3 of the touchdown drives today, and that was the difference in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think 10 different receivers.
10 different receivers
caught passes. Really got just about every running back in the game involved in the passing game too. Really took advantage of some of the space that was open in the flats. So really, everything considered, this was a very encouraging passing performance from the offense. Obviously, still some questions about that running attack and that offensive line, but by and large, this is certainly a step that Indiana can build forward with going into that Rutgers game next week. Defensively,
take your pick. I mean, Chase Dutra had 9 tackles, half a tackle for loss. Chris Covington had 8 tackles, a sack and a half.
He was awesome.
Jacob Robinson was outstanding, 7 tackles, 2 sacks, I think 3.5 tackles for loss, and the forced fumble.
Crazy game.
That T. Gray Scales recovered. So, a lot of guys did good stuff. Some guys you maybe not expect as much. Nate Hoff had a sack in there. I think Gavin Everett had a sack, a name you don't hear a whole lot.
Back-to-back tackles for loss, I think, too.
A lot of different pressures, guys getting pressure, disrupting plays. Basically, just kind of kept Illinois off balance, like I said, except for that one big play, and then there was one drive where the defense just, I don't know, they forgot how to tackle or something there on that one touchdown drive.
Yeah, that was crazy. You have your slot guy going through basically is that Fant and maybe Fields and Covington maybe.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but it was basically 2 missed tackles led to a touchdown, which was really again like you said, outside of that long pass play to start the second half, really the only 2 real disappointments of the day from that defense. Again, this is a very young, mistake-prone Illinois offense, but again, when you have a defense the caliber of Indiana, this is the performance you expect, and they certainly followed through. From there, another good thing defensively, they got Ashawn Riggins back. He played mostly, if not all, the entirety of his appearance today on special teams, but talking to Tom Allen, it does sound like they're encouraged he might be able to get back on defense next week, which could be helpful if Andre Brown is hurt. I don't know if Andre Brown came back in after he got banged up, did he?
I think he did.
Okay.
Briefly, I think so.
Even so, that's still a position that...
It is, because what we saw today, again, was another case where a lot of throwing at Andre Brown, because that beats throwing at Richard Fant,
exactly.
who, other than the fact he can't hang on to the interceptions, was in the right place at the right time, at least today, and including that one in the first quarter that he could have had a pick six on. I think that's one of those plays. If he makes that play, maybe Indiana winds up breaking this game open early, pulls away, and this is a completely different kind of game.
Should have been a touchdown.
But he eventually got one. Third time was the charm.
He finally got the right gloves on, apparently, and it turns out they were a size too big, I think, too. After the 2 dropped interceptions and I guess he fumbled a punt return too. After the punt, he goes to the sidelines, and Tom Allen says, "Gloves off, new gloves on." They go over to the equipment manager, pull out a new pair of gloves, and
actually, I think he said it was an old pair.
It was an old pair. It was new to him, old pair of gloves, and they were actually too big for him. But he said, "What the heck? I'm going to go ahead and do it." Richard was adamant it was not the gloves, but Tom Allen said, "You know what? It might have just been up here."
Yeah,
maybe it was, and certainly that paid off down the end in closing this one out. So, as we said, returning home for Senior Day next week, and the stakes are very much the same against a Rutgers team that Indiana just doesn't really dominate. Well, dominate's not the right word, but it's a Rutgers team that has given Indiana troubles, to say the least.
Right.
Even last year when they won in Piscataway, it was an ugly ball game.
But it's a tournament scenario for Indiana right now. They're survive in advance. They won this week, so that puts them in a position to have another go at it next week. Yep. If they can win next week, then it's one game to make a bowl game.
That was kind of actually what Tom Allen laid out to the team this week, just saying, obviously Tom Allen's background is in high school football. Everyone here, I think, except for Hayden Whitehead, played high school football. It's kind of like when you get into these playoffs. It's a survive in advance tournament mode, and that's the way that they're kind of approaching it now, week by week, and certainly will have their opportunities next week in Bloomington. Anything we missed?
I think we covered it.
It's cold here today.
It is cold.
Super cold. They had really tasty apple cider. Did you get any of that?
I did not. I did not go for the apple cider.
I went for the apple cider. It was a very, very good decision on my part.
I'm glad you're pleased with your decision.
I was just looking at everyone was just freezing outside, and I was sipping on my apple cider. It's like a possum eating. Never mind. Anyway, that'll close things out from here. We got to.
I think we had too late of a night last night with basketball.
I think we're both operating on a solid 4 hours of sleep
Yes.
right now. So we're going to go home and get some sleep, and we'll see you at Assembly Hall. This has been a wild weekend of IU sports.
It is.
And we're back at it again on Sunday at Assembly Hall.
I'm going to Grand Park in Westfield first for soccer.
Even wilder.
And then if I'm still unfrozen, I might make an appearance at Assembly Hall tomorrow night. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, Howard's in town, and Indiana's trying to put whatever that was on Friday night behind them. All right, different sport. We're doing football. We're ending football. We're going to go home now.
Let's go home.
See ya.